Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Ashley, and if you're new here on this channel, we like to talk about stuff like the law of attraction, manifestation, and overall just creating a high vibrational state of living. Now, in today's video, I want to talk about a topic that is quite sensitive and popular to a lot of people, and that specific topic is money. But before we get into today's video, just want to send you guys a quick reminder to comment, like, subscribe if you enjoy this type of content. I post once a week. Right now, my posting schedule is every Sunday, usually in the morning. So if you guys are into that kind of content, please remember to comment, like, subscribe. It really does help me grow here on YouTube. So like I said earlier, I find that there are three big topics that a lot of people just want to learn about the most when it comes to manifesting. And those are usually money, love relationships, and of course the physical body. But today's video, like I said, we're going to focus on money and how to start welcoming it into your life with a lot more ease. So just for some background, growing up, I know all about the struggle. I grew up with my family being very poor. My parents were new immigrants to Canada. They didn't have anyone here but themselves. And while they worked really, really hard and they were able to build what most people would call a successful life for themselves, we did grow up fairly poor and we did face a lot of challenges. Fortunately, and thankfully, while we were poor, we did have a lot of the essentials. We always had food, we always had shelter, we had a warm house. So for that, I am thankful. But when it came to, I guess, having these things that most people would consider normal were often considered a luxury for us. So for example, I remember when I was in elementary school, I had to wear clothing that was not part of the uniform catalog. And there were specific shirts that we had to order, but they were kind of expensive for my family. So my parents could not afford to buy me the exact uniform dress code. And instead, we would have to go to Walmart or Zellers to buy something similar, which was a fraction of the cost. And when it came to field trips, I remember there were a handful of times where the rest of my class got to go on these field trips, but these field trips, we had to pay for them. And, it wasn't a lot of money. It was usually like $10 around that mark. But even that, it was too much for my parents. And I usually either had to stay home during that field trip day, or I would go to school with like the few handful of kids that also were not able to go on the field trip. And it would just be like 3 or 4 kids at school that day. So I had these constant reminders that, we were poor. And in turn, that resulted in me developing a lot of these scarcity ideologies, the scarcity mentality when it came to money. And it wasn't all bad. They did teach me the value of hard work. They taught me the value of every dollar that I earned. They taught me the importance of being responsible with your money. So I did learn a lot of valuable lessons. But sometimes I do catch myself falling into that pattern. It's just something that I grew up with, but it's something that I've also been working on quite a lot to overcome. And when I notice that I'm falling back into these patterns, I'm very quick to catch myself. I'm much more self-aware and I'm able to, pause and pull myself back into my new mentality. Now, to give you some context and to just kind of show you guys that I'm not just talking out of nowhere here without any facts to back up my methodologies, I'll give you some detail about where I am in my life and what I've been able to do, but I don't want to go into too much detail just because I don't want anyone to think that I'm bragging. But for context, I have been able to manifest quite a few things that most people would consider luxuries and, things that the top 1% only have. And some of these examples are that Right now I currently live in a 4,000 square foot home. It's a beautiful home. It's a beautiful single family home in a very wealthy area. We have a pool. Both my husband and I, we own multiple rental properties. We have multiple streams of income. We also own multiple luxury cars. I'm able to afford 3 beautiful little dogs that I absolutely love. We travel regularly. There was a little bit of a pause during the pandemic, but other than that small phase, we travel regularly up to 4 times, sometimes even more than that a year. And then from the ages of 24 to 29, I was able to travel full time around the world, just hopping from one place to another. And sometimes we would stay for a month and just explore that general region. And then sometimes we would stay for longer spurts, especially if we really liked where we were staying. So with that, I can confidently say that my mentality around money has improved drastically since I was a child, and that my trajectory when it comes to money is on an upward track. So with that being said, I kind of want to share some tips with you guys that I wish I would have learned much sooner. I think that would have helped me a lot more, and it probably would have made the entire learning process much more clear for me. So with that being said, these are 3 ways that you can start manifesting more money, more luxuries, and just start feeling more comfortable with the idea of money being normal in your life. So step 1 would be to start changing your ideologies and your beliefs about money. Now, this is really important because if you don't start changing your ideologies or the mentality you have about money that's creating your current struggles with it, you're not going to get very far. And if you do manage to manifest money, it's either going to be a lot slower and difficult, or it won't last as long as you would like it to. On top of this, if you're trying to, change your mentality, you really have to start from within, because otherwise, if you start, trying to manifest and do these things, it's going to end up feeling very fake and forced. And I find that usually results in you not even really believing what you're doing. You kind of just feel like you have this imposter syndrome, and you're not going to feel motivated to keep working on it. So with that being said, I think the easiest way for you to start believing is that you deserve to have money. Just start working around the belief that, you as a person, you are worthy of having money. You deserve to have money. You deserve to have a good life. You deserve to have all of the things that you want. Second part to this first step would be to remove money from the pedestal that you've placed it on. A lot of people, I find, make the mistake of placing money on this huge pedestal. And it's almost like you're creating a shrine for money, where it's this holy thing that can only be achieved by the select few, or people that have cracked the code, or that you have to work 100 hours a week to get it, or you have to sacrifice too many things to get to it, which are all essentially limiting beliefs. And by putting money on this pedestal, you're really just creating more distance between yourself and it, which in turn creates more lack. And as we know in this community, when you create lack, you start to create more distance between you and your manifestation, which results in it just not happening for you. Another step in this process here would be to remove the negative connotations or the negative stereotypes society has placed on money. I find that a lot of people often think that money is the root of all evil, or that you have to do bad things to get money. Money doesn't think in good or bad ways. Money's just an energy. It's a very neutral thing. And ultimately, money is just a means to an end. And money simply just gravitates towards people that welcome it, people that have a vibrational match to it. And this goes back to what I've talked about in my other videos about raising your vibration and feeling good when you're doing basically anything in life. It just enhances your life experience. But one thing here that I find that is super important about changing your mentality about money is to start consciously aligning with the idea of spending money before you go out and spend it. So I find that this is helpful, especially when you're spending money that you don't necessarily have, or money that you're not used to spending. I'm not saying to be reckless or frivolous with your money. I'm just saying that when, you're out grocery shopping or you're shopping for anything, you're paying the gas bill, you're paying rent that month, just align yourself and feel like you are okay with spending this money before you actually do it. Because if you spend money when you're in a good mood, you'll attract more money. But if you spend money and you're in a negative mood and you're just thinking about how much money you don't have, you're just going to attract less money. So once you've been able to kind of work on your mentality about money and the ideas and some of the limiting beliefs that you have surrounding money, you can start moving towards more actionable items. And this would be step 2. And for me, I found that the easiest way to start implementing this would be to start spending more money on yourself, or myself in this case. And I found this to be the case because when I spend money on myself, especially when I'm splurging or spoiling myself, I know that I'm going to truly appreciate the value of what I'm giving myself. But before you go out and do these little splurges on yourself, please remember that you need to align with the idea of spending on yourself. Make sure that you're able to feel good about it. If you're not quite ready to do it, take a pause, take the time that you need to align yourself with the idea of spending this money, and then do it. So a few examples here that I have for you guys that you can start doing that are smaller steps and that are just something that's not a huge jump. Because I find that if you go from, having the scarcity mentality and not being able to pay your bills every month or living paycheck to paycheck, it's a much harder and unbelievable jump to go from there to spending $500,000 on a home. So these are smaller steps that I find that help you gradually get into that momentum of spending more money and welcoming it more into your life. So, like I said, it's easier for me to focus on myself and spoiling myself. So one of the things I would regularly do was to get my nails done. And I would usually find excuses not to go to the salon. I tell myself that I don't really need to. It's just a waste of money. I would have to go get it redone every 10, 12 days or so. And I just kept finding excuses not to go. But, when I started to make this shift, I decided to start out small with just getting my nails done and to actually go get them done with, the more premium option. They have different options at the nail salon with the different gels you can use. So whenever I would start going, I started just getting my hands done and I would ask for the premium option. And I slowly just started getting used to that. And then I regularly also started including pedicures in that. So now getting my nails done is quite a regular thing for me. It's not something that I think about twice, but it was a good way for me to get used to spending money and for me to spoil myself a little bit more. Another example that I can give you is when you go grocery shopping. I also struggled with this earlier on. It's easy to go to the grocery shop and just want to pick the cheapest item, especially with the cost of food going up right now. But I find that starting small really does help. And so if you're going grocery shopping, maybe pick out 2 or 3 items that are considered to be organic or more of the premium option at the store, and look at it as an investment in yourself. Your health is a priority. You know that you're going to enjoy these things. You know that these things are good for you, and the few extra dollars that these things cost are worth it in the long run. Another example I can give you guys, and this one was something that popped up into my head when I was thinking about this video. So I figured this was the universe really wanting me to share this experience with you guys. And when I was 24, I was working a regular job. I wasn't making a lot of money, but I was very much interested in upgrading my lifestyle. I wanted to, really start working towards the vision that I had for myself in my head. And I knew that one of these things that I had to fix was my mentality around money. And so at this time, I had been building up, getting used to spoiling myself, spending more money wherever I could, spending money on things that I thought were worth it. But there was this one thing that I really wanted, and I was really unsure about it. And this thing was a skincare procedure that I wanted to do. It was a package. It was about 6 sessions, and it was a laser treatment for my skin. And at the time, it was around $1,000. And back then, $1,000 was so much money to me. I think it was maybe like 80% of one paycheck. So to me at that time, $1,000 was an insane amount of money to spend on laser treatments. Even though I was getting like 5 or 6 sessions for it, $1,000 was almost insane to me to spend on lasers and to spend on something that wasn't actually tangible for me. However, I knew that I wanted to have really good skin. I knew that I wanted to take care of my skin. I wanted to be as preventative as possible. And these things were just important to me at my core. And I know it sounds superficial, but everyone has different values. And to me, taking care of my skin and just my overall appearance was important to me. So I thought about it for a little bit. It took a couple days, maybe even a couple weeks. It was a while ago now, but I took the time that I needed to really think about how this money would be an investment for myself. And I convinced myself that it was something that I truly wanted. And it wasn't like I was wasting money or being frivolous with money or disrespecting money at all. It was something that I knew that I wanted. And I knew that this would be an investment for me for the long run. And, eventually I got excited about spending this money. I went to the reception desk and, I paid with absolute pleasure. It was an exciting thing for me to give the lady my credit card and for her to charge me. I was happy to spend this money. And essentially, that's how you should feel whenever you're spending money. You should feel good about spending it. And if you catch yourself feeling negative about it, just try to catch yourself before you go out and spend that money. And if it's too late, don't beat yourself up over it. You can always try again next time. Just take every step as a learning experience. Now, the third step I find made things a lot easier for me. And this would be to focus less on manifesting exact sums of money and just focus on the thing that you want to buy with that money. So the reason I say this is because a lot of people have these tense relationships with money, and they have these intense money blocks that a lot of people struggle to overcome. And I can definitely relate. I had these problems as well. But the trick here is, if you have these blocks and you're having a hard time overcoming them, why don't you just start focusing on manifesting the things that you would want to buy with that money? Take out the process, take out the middleman of the situation. Money is simply, like I said earlier, a means to an end. So you don't necessarily want the money per se, you want the end result. So for example, when this was around the same time as my skincare, and I really wanted to travel. I wanted to do luxury traveling. I wanted to travel a lot. I had so many places I wanted to go on my bucket list. But like I said, I was having a hard time with money. I wasn't making a lot of money. So instead, I really just started hyper focusing on traveling. That was my main priority at the time. I was 24. I had the world ahead of me. I had a bunch of places that I wanted to go see. So I really just started focusing on all of the beautiful places that I wanted to go to, the things I wanted to experience, the hotels I wanted to stay at, the dining experiences I wanted to have. I really just started to zero in on these experiences. And if you guys want, I can do a video on this separately on how I manifested 5 years and even still just ongoing traveling. But eventually, within a year, I had started traveling full time. So if manifesting money at the beginning is harder than you expected, maybe start focusing on things that you want to buy with money. You know, you might have less of a resistance. You might have smaller blockages or even no blockages at all when it comes to other things that you could use money to buy with. So whether that's a new car, whether that's an education for yourself, a trip, a new piece of clothing, you know, some nice shoes, whatever it is, try focusing on manifesting that specific thing instead of manifesting the money to buy that thing. All right. So those are my 3 tips to start manifesting money. There are so many other tips that I want to share with you guys, and I'll do that in separate videos. But I just wanted to start out with something small for you guys so you could at least, you know, start getting used to the idea of manifesting money and to the idea that you deserve to have money. And money isn't only for a select few people. Money is for everyone. You just have to learn to raise your vibration and to welcome money with ease into your life. All right. So if you guys enjoyed that video, leave a comment, like, or subscribe. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and I will see you guys in the next one.